This episode is sponsored today by the book 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. This book was written by kids. It's for kids. It's a coloring book. When you have a tragedy of divorce and you have young children who do not know how to express themselves, this coloring book, 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce, is the coloring book for them. Pick it up today at blendingthefamily.com or even on Amazon. 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. Again, written by kids, for kids. Welcome to another edition of Blending the Family, the podcast. I am your host, Tommy Maloney, coming to you from the car. Yes. I am going to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever lied to you. I don't think I have. I'm not that type of person. But extremely stressed out as I head into the day job because the car is acting up. We have the engine light on, and life is happening. I don't know about your life, but life is happening right in front of my eyes, good and bad, bad and good. And we're going to talk about a new project I'm working on with the Good Men Project, okay? Before I jump into that, I want to say thank you for listening. If this is your first time tuning in, I was a little nervous. My wife Ann and I went to visit my grandmother just south of Denver in an area called Highlands Ranch. And we were having brunch with Grandma Helen, great lady. My grandmother was very responsible for help raising me. If you've never heard any of my stories about my mom worked 2 jobs for us, and my pattern as a youth was after school I'd go and they lived like down a hill in the burbs of Chicago, and so after school I would just go hang out with the grandparents, with the grandmother, my great-grandfather who also helped raise me and somewhat taught me about gardening, my great-grandfather, great-grandpa Frank, great guy, oh my gosh. Sit there and listen to his stories as a youth, talking about baseball, his time in the Navy. My grandmother Helen helped raise me, and just a wonderful lady, but she nags me. I'm putting this on the record. She nags me. She knows it. She doesn't admit it, but she knows it. And then recently I finally got my hair cut because she's been hounding me how much she hated it. And I don't like having when I have my hair long either. So I digress. Oh God, yellow light, made it. Okay. All right, we made it through that light. You and I together. You're like sitting in the passenger seat. This isn't one of those ride-sharing things where you're sitting in the back. No. You're my friend. You're sitting right next to me in this passenger seat. I prefer if you were driving, though. I don't like driving. And hence, with the engine light being on again, why do things have to cost money? Why can't I just go to a mechanic, smile, and the mechanic say, hey, that's a great smile. Let's fix your car. Wouldn't that be great? That'd be great. There was something else I was going to mention. I totally forgot. Well, you're used to that. I think for those who have been listening to this, I remember. Squirrel. So Ann and I were having brunch with Helen, and those two were wrapped up in some kind of conversation. Of course, I tuned out. I wanted to check, and from time to time, I check how many downloads at the time. And I kind of panicked. Not kind of. I need to really focus on not saying kind of. I really need to work on that. You need to help me. You need to help me with this. Anywho, I saw recently saw at brunch that I had for the podcast, we had 666 downloads. I'm like, I don't like that. But that number changed quickly. Very honored that 2 people that quickly download the podcast change it from the 666 to 668. Yeah, did not like that one bit. And ironically, we're going to talk some faith on this episode. We're going to talk about taking the leap of faith. We're going to talk about this new series that I'm launching on the Good Men Project. In my mind, just give you a little heads up, this is going to be a weekly series with them. And my goal after doing this little project, a year from now, we'll take all that content and put it into a book. I think we'll have 2 new books, if I do this right, 2 new books in 2019. I'm calling it out right now. 2 new books in 2019 with the help of the editors of the Good Men Project. Okay? So let's talk about this new project. I was having, I want to call it not a coffee date, but we'll call it just call it a meetup. Met up with a friend of mine, Tina. If you've ever heard me talk about Toastmasters, great organization. At this recording, I am not in a Toastmaster club at the time. That was partially because of financial reasons. But Tina wants to start in our area a new club, and she wanted some ideas, she wanted some help, and I said, love to help you with that, and we'll talk. And we're talking about creating this new club and where she wants it, and the time and the day and all that good stuff. Sip of coffee. Which was kind of funny. Oh, crap, I said kind of. I'm going to have to figure this out. Like, smack myself every time I say it. Tina and I are very similar. We both are very into personal development. And she was asking, then a little bit of the conversation turned to, I was putting my coaching hat on to help her. And she had this, she was at this event, and turns out we have a mutual friend. She was asking me about him. I go, oh yeah, I know this guy. This guy named Tom, aka the Man in the Hat, is what he's called. And she was talking to Tom about, ironically, taking a leap of faith, but every once in a while, there's just that time where you just need to be pushed. I found that really funny, and I found it to be very profound at the same time. And where we were having our little meeting was funny. It was at a coffee place, and I didn't have any coffee. She didn't have any coffee. I felt bad because she didn't order until after I started to leave. Anyway, it's a 5-minute drive from where we met to the house, and my wheels started turning about that statement of taking a leap of faith, but every once in a while you need somebody to push you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that means something. Oh, welcome to the construction zone. Gosh, I keep telling you this, but I can't wait till this is all done. Oh my gosh. And I did something to my back, and my back hurts, and the vibration of this construction zone is not helping. But anyway, back to the story. I'm racking my brain because I know there's something there of taking a leap of faith, because that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. Again, if you haven't listened to this podcast, I recently put in not my 2, but my 3-week notice at the day job, and good things are happening, bad things are happening all around. I think, this is my thought, if you're getting overwhelmed or inundated with a lot of bad karma, I think that's a good thing. Here's why. Having a lot of bad karma or a lot of bad things happening to you all at one time will come back to you in a positive way, in my opinion, tenfold. Okay? So even though you are a really good person, I think I'm an okay person. I do. And a couple of things that are happening right now are really adding to my stress. But I know after the situations are done, good things are going to happen. I have to believe in that. And this is where 2018, my word of the year is believe. I have to believe. All right, back to the story. Oh, boy. So I'm back home, racking my brain, going, taking a leap of faith, getting pushed. This means something to me creatively. I then hop on my laptop and I send an email out to how do I explain this? When I write, for example, when I write my weekly column for the Good Men Project, there's a process. And on their website, there's a form you fill out to submit your column. Okay? And I have a specific editor that I'm assigned to. Now, recently, my editors have changed. That, I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not a great writer. I really do. I love writing. I love podcasting, and I love writing. I love my family. Need to mention that too. So I fill out this form, and then it goes directly to my editor. But as I was just saying, I have a new editor, and I reached out to a couple other of the editors at the Good Men Project a while back, talking about my goals, my vision, how they can help me, and this is where the idea for a couple of books for 2019 is going to be from these professional editors. I got on my laptop. I said, here's what's going on. I recently put in my notice at work. I am truly taking a leap of faith. I don't have any other prospects. I don't have a job waiting for me come the following Monday. But having this meeting with my friend Tina really sparked this leap of faith. Every once in a while you need to be pushed. I want to write a weekly series about this, I guess another way to describe it would be writing a diary or writing a journal. And I'll give you a little bit of something I've already done, and I wrote the first piece already. And the way I did it was I wrote down, the date, and then what I did that date, or how that date pertains to this whole big project of, but as I said, I'm looking at doing this for a whole year, each week, giving you an update of this whole leap of faith. Anyway, I describe what's going on. I describe the meeting with Tina, and I describe, what I wanted to do, because one of the editors and I had talked about doing something like this, a year-long series. And I said, this is it. This is what I want to do. And right away, they came back. All three of them, right away, loved this idea. And then the big question is, well, what are you going to title it? And that's where I was just lost. I didn't know what to title it. And then all of a sudden, I'm walking around the house. I don't know about you, but have you ever walked into a room and you forgot the whole reason why you walked into that room? Well, the opposite happened to me. I walked into our bedroom, and then it hit me. What I'm going to be titling this project for the next year is called God Pushed Me. God Pushed Me. Okay? I am one of I don't want to say one of those people. I'm going to speak about myself. I went to Catholic school, went to Catholic high school, and religion didn't mean anything to me. Really didn't believe, I didn't wholeheartedly believe there was a God. I didn't have faith as much as my wife Ann does. I was just not a real true believer. And when we would have either weekly or monthly, we would have, as a school, we would have a Mass. Every day I took a class called Religion. And those two things, Mass and religion class, just did not interest me wholeheartedly. 1 ounce of my being. And this could be one of those situations where you read about this, where people go to prison, they find God. And maybe that's what happened to me recently. That all of a sudden, I would see more and more, how I phrase it, not coincidence, because something would happen in your life and it's not really explained, if that makes sense. And one of the things I've been crafting this speech for a couple of years. I really haven't done anything with it, but I have this speech titled, "There Are No Coincidences." And every once in a while, I would see things happen for a reason, right? Something unexplained. In this speech, I talk about how it's not a coincidence that my wife Ann and I met. Ann is originally from upstate New York. I'm originally from the burbs of Chicago. There's no coincidence through her trials and tribulations and my trials and tribulations that we ended up one day at the same place. And because of that one event, we ended up dating, getting engaged, getting married. I don't believe there are coincidences. I've, in the back of my mind, I believe there's, I don't know how you describe, a higher power or source, God. I don't know how you describe, but that's, I believe there is, or have believed that there is something. And I don't know if it's a male or female. I guess ingrained in my head, it's always been a male. But if you ever saw the movie Dogma, God is a woman. How ironic. If you get that joke, thank you. But that's where we're at. So we're going to call this series God Pushed Me, because every now and then we need help. We need help. It's okay to ask for help, and this is something that I still struggle with. Ask my wife Ann, she'll tell you. But we all need help. We need help from our family. We need help from our friends. It could be coworkers. It could be our boss. We need help. And I'm going to use one of our guests, Michael Laidler, talk about, even Jesus needed help. He had 12 disciples. So it's okay to ask for help. And I have really have had, or more and more faith is entering into my body. And for example, at church yesterday, the story was about how Jesus finally accepted the fact that he was the Messiah, that he was the King of Kings, so to speak, that he felt his own coming of age. How's that? Coming of age. And the story goes where he asked his disciples, and I'm probably screwing this up because as I was listening to Pastor Tim, my mind started to wander how this story relates to me. I started thinking about that, and so Jesus asked his disciples to go get him a donkey to go ride on to the crowd. And how I related that story was, I am now accepting the fact that I do believe that there is a God, a higher power. And I know I'm guessing maybe one or two of you right now are rolling your eyes at me. That's okay. It's all good in the hood. But for the next approximately 52 weeks, I want to share my story with you of how I've taken the leap of faith, how good or bad my life is definitely going to change. And this isn't some type of over-the-top drama. Life is about to change. Obviously with resigning from my job, here's an example of why I don't believe in coincidence. I don't know if you're familiar with the website Meetup. And what Meetup does is there are groups, small groups that meet up to discuss, maybe it's business, maybe it's it could be a hiking group, so physical fitness type group. It could be a writing group. And a couple weeks ago, I was going through local meetups, and I found one, and I sent a message through the meetup website to the organizer to let her know, hey, if you ever need, my help, I would love to come in and speak to your group, because it was a divorce parenting group, and nothing came about of it until actually late last night. The organizer responded back, hey, thanks for reaching out. We would love to have you come in and speak. Could be a sign. Could be. You just never know. And one of the things I was explaining to Tina was something that's written on my whiteboard in the home office is waiting versus creating. Okay? It's wonderful to hope for things to happen. However, in my view, that's waiting. You're waiting for things to happen versus creating things. If you create things, then things will come into play. If I don't sit and have that one-on-one with Tina, and I totally blow her off, then none of this happens. Does that make sense? I had another... it's kind of funny. Oh, fudge! I'm going to have to go back and listen to see how many times I say kinda. I had a meeting with a friend of mine named Ben, and ironically met at a coffee place. Neither of us had coffee, but Ben is the one who was there for this whole process. I don't know what the word is right now. But about 3 weeks ago, Ben had reached out to me, and Ben and I not really lost track of each other. We stayed in contact on LinkedIn, but Ben moved from the northern parts of Colorado to just south of Denver. And out of the blue, he sent me a text, wanted to see if I was available on this Friday, and I said, yeah, sure. Would love to sit and talk. As I said, we hadn't seen each other in about 2 years. And Ben is a wonderful person. He's also into personal development. And he and I met up. We're sitting there talking about how what's been happening in the past 2 years since we hadn't seen each other. Sorry, I'm just changing lanes, trying to stay focused here. There we go. And Ben was telling me how a lot of his life has been that philosophy of simply taking a leap of faith, of leaving a job and, as I said, there are no coincidences, and somebody reaches out to Ben and bam, new job, new opportunity. And he was telling me about how the job he's currently at, he actually left. Even though he really enjoyed the people there, he just didn't like the way he was being managed and how management was working. Hold on, excuse me. Coffee. There we go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Don't want to get caught with the fork. All right, try and get the coffee mug into the cup holder and not tangling up the wires. All right. Oh, that's why. The coffee mug and the charging wire are having a battle, and the charging wire is winning. There we go. Coffee mug in the coffee, or in the cup holder. Ben had enough, and this is I'm not going to name the company, but let's just say they are very, very, very high-end retail store. High-end. I probably couldn't even afford the air walking into that store. Ben left, took another job, and unfortunately it was an okay job, just didn't really satisfy his soul. And lo and behold, that high-end retail company called him, wanted him back, and even created a position just for him. How cool is that? Created a job just for him. So he was super thrilled. Very similar to me. We have long commutes. But in his case, he's happier. But I was telling Ben a few weeks ago, how badly I wanted to quit my job. How the 3-hour round trip commute was just stressing me out. Even though here's a positive. And I really have been trying to think of more positive things about this day job. Created this driving while podcasting. That's a positive. And so I said to Ben, I really want to quit my job. I'm drowning. I don't know what I'm doing at this job. It's just hasn't been the right fit. Heck, I would have fired myself months ago. I should have been fired months ago, because they should see how badly I'm performing at this job. I suck at this job. And this is why I repeatedly said, Ben, I so desperately want to quit. That was Friday night. And then Sunday night, I received an email from the training company I used to be contracted with, saying that there's the possibility of a project starting in April. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And like an idiot, like a big idiot, I immediately turned in my resignation that Monday morning. Even though not 100% guarantee that this project is going to happen. Do you see why I'm a little stressed out? And this is my own fault. This is my own fault, definitely. That I should have waited, but that's the whole point here of taking a leap of faith. And sometimes it's not the brightest decision, and I 100% guarantee my wife Ann is not thrilled that I made this decision. Here's some free advice for you couples out there, and you don't have to be married as long as you are in a committed relationship. When it comes to making life decisions, communicate with each other. I did not do that. I was a total moron, and it was an emotional decision. And this is where, give you a little insights. This is what I said to Ann. It was an emotional decision. I saw an opportunity. I freaked that, in just my view, that God was reaching out saying, here you go, Tommy, you want to quit your job? Here you go. And I didn't consult with Ann, mostly because I'm we've established I'm an idiot. I didn't do the math right. If I had really thought this through, I would not have put in my 3-week notice. I would have ended up putting in my 2-week notice. But because I failed to look at a calendar to say, oh, I can put in my 2-week notice next week, talk to Ann about this opportunity, things definitely would be different, good or bad. Again, if you're in a relationship, communicate. This is coming from a parenting coach. Some days I'm amazed that I'm able to dress myself and figure out how to get from point A to point B back to point A. I'm just an idiot. I'm a freaking idiot. And so, as I stated, a little stress. Nah, let's not sugarcoat it. A lot of stress. Okay? Here's my takeaway for you, is that if you're going to take a leap of faith, do it. As much as I enjoy learning about the teachings of the Buddha, in my opinion, we're only on this planet one time. Okay? We're only here. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is life. This is the show. Lights, camera, action. If you're going to take a leap of faith, do it. Now, here's a caveat to that. Here's the caveat. Let me grab some coffee, because I'm giving you a dramatic pause. If you didn't already realize that was a dramatic pause. Here's the caveat. And this is a life learning lesson I'm had my awakening with. And that is, you have to have the confidence, okay? Have to have the confidence to believe in yourself, because that confidence will radiate to other people. Here's what I mean by that. I can say I believe that taking a leap of faith is going to be a good thing. I can say it, but I have to believe it. I have to believe wholeheartedly that when I say to somebody, so, what are you doing? And I say, I'm taking a leap of faith because I know that I am putting my trust in God and it's going to be okay. And I believe that. I firmly believe that. But if I don't believe it, that confidence is going to reflect saying that to that other person, and they're going to be like, I don't think so. You don't believe what you're saying. How can I believe what you're saying? And this is where I have to, again, believe and have the faith of putting this leap of faith into my God's hands, and good or bad, to accept the outcome and learn from that outcome. And that was my life lesson last night with Ann, is that in my situation, I could fail, but how did I learn from that failure? And to show, not necessarily the steps, but to show how I've learned from that mistake. And that's my takeaway for you. Learn from your mistakes. Believe in yourself, but have the confidence when you say to people your belief that will resonate with that other person. I hope that makes sense. Okay? All right. If you enjoy listening to our podcast, thank you for listening. And once again, if this is your first time, I hope I brought value to you. And if you've been a regular listener, thank you to you. And I also hope I brought value to you as well. And I'm trying to think about going forward. If you don't already, and I'll admit I'm pretty bad at this, but keeping the blog updated. But I will definitely make sure that going forward with the blog posting or the article writing or column writing, wherever you want to call it, on the Good Men Project, that I will be reposting that on our website, blendingfamily.com, under the blog section, and then you can stay up to date week to week on this leap of faith. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe however you get your podcast. I just want to leave you with this as far as taking a leap of faith. Imagine yourself either on the very edge of the Grand Canyon, or if you're old enough to remember the show Wide World of Sports, and you would see those cliff divers. And you go right up to the edge. Close your eyes. And don't do this if you're driving. If you're listening to this in your car, don't do this while you're driving. However, Imagine you're at the edge of the Grand Canyon. You close your eyes. You take a deep breath. And you hear the sounds of nature. You feel the wind all through you. You take another deep breath. Bam! You are now free falling down the Grand Canyon. And you're panicking. You don't have a parachute. All you have right now as you're hurtling towards the bottom of the Grand Canyon is your faith that you thought of this leap of faith, but all of a sudden, as you're turning and tumbling, you're trying to figure out what the heck just happened. What went wrong? Why am I heading to the bottom of the Grand Canyon? I didn't leap yet. What happened? And as your body is starting to rotate, and you look up, and you see where you had just left, and then you just realized in all of this, you were pushed. You just got pushed. And who pushed you? Who did you just lock your eyes on? Yeah. God just pushed you.